We only see Tofu right now. And we're live.
All right, you can still hear me though, right?
Yep, we can hear you. All right.
Okay, good.
Well, welcome to The Art of. I'm William L. Reid, and I am the host with the most. And tonight we will be discussing the pencil and ink work of J. Scott Campbell. He had put out on his website a year or two ago now that he had put out a book called Lineology, and we'll be going through that tonight. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves? I know we've got Chester. We've got
hello.
Denali Lama.
Howdy, howdy.
We've got Mr. G. Gary Shipman.
Hello.
We've got Manny from Good Dog Press.
Aloha all.
We've got Jake from the comic
Yes.
AMS artist.
The comic book ASM artist, Jake Campbell, and I'm on my kid's account because I didn't have time to switch over, which is Tofu Ninja.
Tofu. All right. Give me 2 seconds, and I'm going to bring up my other screen.
All right.
You think I'd be prepared for this? Haha. I'm going to just mute. Talk amongst yourselves there for 2 seconds.
All right. Sure. Well, I know I love Campbell's art. Both Campbells. The one that's sitting in front of me as well.
Thanks.
Yeah. But I've enjoyed it for a while. I think one of his comics was Gen 13, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that was cool. I love that run. Did you ever read that, Manny?
I've read Gen 13, yes, sir, and I do like his Danger Girls.
Oh, yeah, Danger Girl. That's another one. That's right.
Yeah, really influences me for my Skunk Girl, as you can see.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Now, he's great at drawing the feminine form, for sure.
Yes. Very sexy.
Yeah. You ever read any of those, Janelli?
Which ones?
Danger Girl, Gen 13.
Yeah, I actually got the whole collection of Danger Girl.
Nice.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
He did a Spider-Man run, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, he did the covers. I don't think he did any interiors, did he?
I'm not sure, but I mean, maybe I am just thinking of the covers, but I think there were interiors, too.
Yeah. If I
Not
remember,
sure.
it was the whenever Straczynski was writing, he was doing the covers for the first bit of that run.
Oh, okay. There you go. Yeah, but I like his art. I've enjoyed the books he's worked on for sure, and it's going to be a lot of fun here today to look at the this art book. I really love this idea that Will's got to take these art books and just go through them and look at them and enjoy them together. I think it's a good idea for a show, man.
Absolutely.
So he's coming back. He's double cameraing today. All right, awesome.
So while we're waiting for William to post up the art book, what are you up to now? I saw earlier you were doing a stream with an ad. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, Gary.
Oh, I logged off for a minute because I was trying to go on my my webcam or my phone, but it wouldn't let me log in through my phone, so I had to come back this way. But yeah, I was working on the Packens Land Omnibus. It's a 2-page ad that's going to go in the comic book that's going to be done. You know, the one that we're doing through the Indiegogo campaign. We had a couple of pages available. The printer told me, so he said we could do like an ad for the omnibus. So I got that done today.
Oh, awesome!
I did only part of it. I did on a stream, and I probably could screen share that. I just have to. I'm using my other laptop. It's all complicated, so I'm not able to do Photoshop on this laptop because I don't have Photoshop for this version or whatever. But I have an older version that I use on another computer.
Well, that's cool that you had some space to do the ad for the upcoming Indiegogo. That's a good idea, I think.
Yes, it is. So I'll transfer some files over to this computer and I'll do a screen share. Right now I'm touching up the last part of the Paul sketch card. You said that I left off those mechanics, I guess you called it.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
So I added those and I reworked it a little bit. I'll put that up here as a screen share too. You could look at it if you want.
Oh no, please. We should get that done. You're doing a real good job about getting everything to the publisher and getting on it. I love it.
Yeah, he's away. My printer is away until tomorrow, and he's saying that we should have this buttoned up by Wednesday. It'll be printing. So everything is really coming together nicely. So yeah.
All right. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. So you guys all sound good. So I adjusted the microphone there. And this is Lineology. Am I white boxed? Yeah, it must be.
You should white box it, yeah.
So J. Scott Campbell, I follow him on a lot of social media sites. And I also belonged to his newsletter from his website, and he had posted in the newsletter about a year or two ago that he had produced this book called Lineology, and it's just his pencils and inks. There's no colored work in it at all. And I kind of jumped at the chance to get it because he's one of my favorites. When he first started, he was kind of a Jim Lee clone. Back in the 90s when they started with the image boom, they had put out a talent search, and he was one of the lucky winners of the talent search. And Jim had taken him under his wing. So when he first started, his work was almost identical to Jim's. Did you guys know that?
I did not.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
yeah, he was on Wildcats first, right? Is that correct or no?
I don't know if he was on Wildcats, but I know they had that spin-off, the Gen 13.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where he had got his big break with Gen 13.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, he ended up bouncing back and forth from Marvel to Image and back and forth. And now I think he's at the point now where he doesn't even do interiors. I think he's just a cover artist.
Yeah,
Well,
that's quite an accomplishment.
Well, it was actually like talking about Wildcat. That's actually how he won the contest. That's the contest you're talking about. He sent his work through Wildcats, and that's how he got picked up.
Yep, absolutely. And that was under Jim Lee himself. So.
Mm-hmm. So.
All right, so let's dig in. So, opening up first page, we've got beautiful blue line work. This girl here is his creator-owned character. She's known as Danger Girl. Did you guys ever hear Danger Girl?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Own all of them.
Yeah. All right. So here, I'm going to say this was, right here, 2016. So it's a couple years old now.
Well, not too old, but this must be more of his recent work compared to his earlier work back in the 90s.
And we've got this beautiful pencil image here. You can see the pencil is actually in his hand. And I'm going to talk about that here shortly. Okay, so here we've got his cover art for Spider-Man. And then on this side, we've got the lovely ladies.
I have the color version of that ready for you, by the way.
Okay, perfect. We'll bring them up here in a little bit. We'll see how far my cell phone will run before it shuts off.
Okay.
Okay, now do you see how these are actually split up into 4?
Yeah.
This one here's got his pen. This book is compiled of mostly his Instagram photos.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole sketchbook is basically his Instagram on paper. So it kind of shows you how simple the printing process is and how easy it is to make a book.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like again here, this is his pen. So he's starting the inking process over his pencils. Now his pencils are pretty tight. So it makes the inking a little easier to do, right?
Right.
You know, you don't have to leave too much for the imagination. So I'm going to bring this one up closer. You can see all the pencil lines and stuff. Now, this is pen. But over on this side, the finished piece, I'm not sure if you guys can see this or not. But do you see all these solid blacks? And then it starts to fade off. Well, he's using either a pencil crayon or a chalk or a charcoal. So he's using mixed medium as well, right?
Yeah,
It's not just pencils and inks.
I think he's using like this wax. It's like one of those wax. They usually have them in white and black.
Conte, maybe?
I think they have paper wrapped around them, and you peel the paper off as you need it. You know.
Yeah.
It reveals the lead.
A peel and sketch or something.
China marker.
Well, it's not a marker. It's more like a crayon, like a pencil, but it's bound up with paper, and then you peel it off instead of sharpening it. Peel it off.
China marker.
Is that what that's called? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
Okay.
Okay, so here we've got on the big page. This is Peter Pan. See Peter Pan in the middle there, surrounded by all the lovely sirens.
Yep.
Right. Now he's got a bit of a controversial style to him, where he likes to take children's stories and he puts a little adult spin to it. Right?
Well, I don't know, but I'm biased toward it.
And again, we've got the split images, and you can see that his hand is in the picture in this one here, right?
Yeah.
Now, we're in the month of November right now, but we just finished October. October was what we call Inktober in the artist world, in the comic book world. At the end of the 31 days, well, for anybody that's not familiar with Inktober, Inktober is for the whole month of October, you do every day you do an inked piece, right? Now, at the end of the 31 days, depending on what theme you went with or what list you had to do, at the end of the 31 days, you should have 31 images, which you should be able to, if you wanted to, put together you'd have enough images to put together your own sketchbook. And, taking pictures off your Instagram with your cell phone is a brilliant way to put together a sketchbook.
Oh, that's cool. Is that Hip Flask?
I'm not
That
sure
image on the left.
Yeah, I'm
it
not
looks
sure
like
what that
Hip
is.
Flask to me.
Yeah, I've seen the character before, but I'm unfamiliar with the
I'm not
exact
familiar with
franchise.
that.
I know it's an independent book.
Yeah, I think it's Hip Flask. I've read all those books. I love that series.
Is that an image series?
I'm not exactly sure. It's certainly a little bit more adult, but I really enjoyed it. Let me check.
Yeah.
Now, this book is completely a mixed book. Like we've got Marvel and we've got some image stuff. Has he done any work for DC? Do you know? Because I don't think I've ever seen him do a Batman or a Joker or anything
I
like
don't think
that.
I have
No.
either.
He only done.
Oh
I
well,
think-
no, that's not true. For the Batman 50, he did a gatefold variant for that. He did 5 individual covers that linked up to make a big image. So I
Yeah,
do
and
remember that.
And he did a Justice League as well.
Mhm.
Justice League of America.
But
Did
nothing like mainstay. You know, not like a normal or even a regular commercial variant of a book. Like those were ultra rares he did.
Now, I'm pretty sure he's just a cover artist now.
Mhm.
I don't think he really does any interiors these days. And I think some of his most famous covers recently are his Spider-Man
Mhm.
pieces.
Yeah.
He, within the last year, I believe, he had a real controversial piece. He had one of his covers pulled, and it was an Iron Man cover.
Yep.
And I think it was it Iron Man's daughter?
It was Riri Williams.
Okay.
It was
Now, how old was she in the comic book?
I don't know.
14.
I think she's
15,
14,
something
I
like that.
believe.
Okay, so that was controversial because his style is quite sexy, and what was so controversial about that is, can you really have a sexy 14, 15-year-old?
Yeah.
So they ended up pulling that cover.
Well, they
So-
certainly try to be sexy. But just to let you know, that is from Active Comics. Hip Flask is a spin-off of Elephant Men. Which is a
Elephant
great
Man,
comic.
that's the
Oh,
one.
there we
right?
go.
But-
Yep.
But here's the real question: is nobody, before they even printed the cover and did everything, where's the editorial on this saying, hey,
Yeah.
maybe they should have been like, maybe that's not a good idea. So it's really not so much of his fault, because he did the work and they know what kind of style he does. So
Yep.
it's really more the editorial problems that they didn't say, hey, this cover isn't good.
Yeah, well, I know he was attacked there for a little bit on social media, like most people are these days with the trolls and stuff.
Yep.
But he was a little bit vocal about that. Now, I'm wondering, like, how much of a big deal was it? Were we blowing it out of proportion or not? Because I mean, like, covers and stuff are rejected daily that we don't know about,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
I'm
why
I'm
was
sharing
this one
that
such
picture,
a
by the
big
way. I'm sharing those pictures, by the way, if you
deal?
want
Okay,
to show them.
I'll white box you there, bud.
Oh yeah, I see him.
Yeah, okay. So the one on the right is his cover, right?
Yeah.
I don't see anything wrong with that. Do you?
Yeah.
None. Not at all. No.
Yeah, the thing there, I think they're just the belly being revealed there was the big thing. Because I mean, the pose isn't really sexual, but having the midriff shown, I think, was the thing that made their heads explode, pretty much.
I guess. She's
Well-
just being
Yeah.
sassy. She's
I
being
know,
sassy.
right?
No,
Yeah.
I've seen an alternate cover to that same pose where she was actually in the Iron Man suit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you
no, there
guys
is.
know? Yeah. Do you guys know if that was the cover they went with, or did they axe the cover altogether?
The cover they went with it's actually her, and she's like hugging the armor. She's like sitting and hugging the armor. Yep.
Here's the
there it
one
is,
in the
yeah.
armor.
And then the one next to it,
That one right there.
Yep.
Right.
right there. Yep.
So, yeah, they're all fine. Now, this one right here, I have to say, makes her look very childish. This makes her seem extremely young. She looks almost like an elementary school kid here. But I don't know. But that's the typical kind of thing we see these days. They complain about every little thing. There was nothing wrong with that. Just like there wasn't any problem with the Joker cover where he was holding on to Barbara Gordon. And there was nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with Spider-Man, Spider-Woman one, although that was a little more extreme. But it's just the standard thing that goes on these days. You can't create anything that looks feminine or beautiful, right?
Yep.
But
And then
anyway.
even the Cho piece with the Wonder Woman, where I had just like a tiny sliver of her underwear, and they're like, "Oh, that's sexualized." And it wasn't even a sexual pose. She was just like dodging a bullet or something. It's like there's nothing sexual about that.
It's typical.
But I mean, we're so used to seeing his work. I mean, was it really that bold of a piece.
No.
I mean, look at the picture I have in my hand right now of Alice in Wonderland.
Yep.
That's more sexualized, but you know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you have underwear, like a full image of underwear there, you know. So
Yeah, but that piece there isn't. You know, they aren't publishing that. That isn't Disney. There's no way they would do that.
right. He did
Of
make
course
prints
not.
of that though.
Right, but that's just him making.
Right. It's not a licensed.
Right.
No, Peter Pan would be in the public domain. Did he do this on his own, or was it no, Disney wouldn't have hired him for that.
No.
No, these are his sketches. Yeah.
Because I know he's a huge fanatic for the fairy tales.
Yeah. Yeah, he put out a sketchbook maybe 4 years ago of all fairy tale images, and I remember that was one of them, that Alice in Wonderland one, and then there was like a Tinkerbell, and then like a Ariel one, and then some other ones too. I think a Dorothy was in there, and they're slowly making statues of those too.
There was a Sacagawea as well.
Okay, so this image here, this one here, I just want to mention, this is the pencil that Gary was just talking about, the pull-in sketch.
Yeah.
Right? See, it's wrapped in paper, and you just pull a little string, and it unravels the paper, and it makes your, I don't know what you call it.
I have one of those. Like,
and you can see where he's actually used it.
Yeah, I have one right here.
Yep.
You can see where he's actually used it just to kind of give it that smoky effect of blending, right? That nice fade.
Yeah, and where the way that it works is that it works with the texture of the paper. So if you have a sort of a tooth to your paper, it works really well, like what he's doing. If you have really smooth paper, the grain would be real smooth, maybe not at all. It might not work so great, but yeah, that's how it works generally.
So based on this, can you kind of tell what kind of what paper he might have used, Gary?
Well, seeing how big that pencil looks right there, because the pencil isn't that big. It's a thicker lead, but it's not this big chunky lead. So that is a kind of a small drawing there of her leg, you know, and so it just looks like he's using just a standard draft mill, maybe with a little bit of a tooth, like a kid finish or something like that.
mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not familiar with this lady here.
That is Colossus's sister.
Okay.
Yep, it sure is.
Which he never had. Then all of a sudden he had a sister. Yay!
That's uber powerful.
He had a sister.
He always had a sister.
Oh yeah,
that
what?
was
I see.
Saving her. His first appearance, he was in X-Men. He was saving her from a tractor.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's true. But you know what I mean. They turned her into a superhero.
And
Right.
she wasn't at first. Okay. Now that you mention it, I actually see the X on her shoulder here. Right.
Yeah, she's crazy powerful, as Denelli had said. Yeah.
Yeah, she like opens portals to hell and stuff.
I do love that first shot though of Colossus lifting that tractor, Gary. That is a great image.
Mm-hmm.
So here we got a little mix. I think this one might be Deja Taurus down here. This one looks to me like Vampirella.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
This one looks like.
Actually, reminds me of the Jungle comics that Chuck Dixon and
Kelsey Shannon
is drawing. That looks like one of the Thor art sets.
It's probably what's her name?
Sheena?
Sheena of the Jungle. Yeah.
Yeah.
And over here we've got. This is actually the Wicked Witch from Wizard of Oz.
The Wicked Witch of the West. Yes.
Yeah.
And you can see. I'll bring it up. There's a ton of detail in here.
Oh yeah.
Not sure exactly how clear that's going to be. But he's got some interesting technique down here. And I've seen Gary do this. This is where you put that ink on the brush and you give it a flick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? This is probably done with a toothbrush and you just kind of scrape it with your thumb and it'll spray. I've seen Gary do that numerous times.
I love those flying monkeys, man. They're look at that. Look at that.
Hair texture on them.
This one here's got goggles on.
Yeah, that is really cool. That's what Packens Land needs, Gary. It needs flying monkeys.
Yeah.
Okay, this was the first controversial piece that that I've ever heard.
Yeah, that
From
was
him.
the Tiger Lily.
Princess
Tiger
Tiger
Lily,
Lily. Yeah.
Smeed and Hook, yeah. Because Tiger Lily was supposed to be a girl, a small little
Yep.
girl like Peter Pan. And this
Yep.
was.
Yeah, he's caught a lot of flack for this one.
Mm-hmm.
Still to this day, actually, he's being called out for it.
Yep.
Then on this page, we got a siren, probably the Little Mermaid, I believe.
Yeah, Ariel.
Ariel.
Which is kind of sad to think about the actual story of the Little Mermaid, not the Disney version, but the actual story where, spoiler, the mermaid dies.
Now you'll see a whole Disney theme going on with his work. Somebody had once commented, I had watched a video with him. Somebody had once commented that his eyes are large, and they had made the reference to anime eyes. And he was pretty quick to correct them. And he says, no, it's Disney. He said, before I got into comic books, he said he was studying to be an animator. And he's always wanted to work for Disney. And what you see in his artwork is the Disney representation in his style. Right?
Yeah, I got that Tiger Lily here, the original, if you'd like,
So
where she is actually in bondage in the actual Peter Pan Disney movie.
Yeah, and Gary, you worked at Disney and study under Disney. What's your thoughts about, this style then, if it's being influenced by Disney kind of deal, as a former Disney affiliate?
Well, I'm not sure what you're asking. I mean, he's doing all of this stuff independently.
But what I'm asking is more like the style, like the Disney inspired style, based on what the story is saying.
Like just him making it a woman and making it more sexual and stuff. I mean, that's his prerogative if he wants to do that. I mean, and he's gonna, he'll get flack. He'll get flack for it because people love the original and they don't like people messing with it and stuff like that. But it's his prerogative to do it. I think he's very, very talented. I kind of feel like he goes way too far to me. It's like, oh wow, it's a little bit, not a little bit. It's a lot for my taste. I mean, I think he's brilliant. His line work is top notch. He's one of the best. But his subject matter is troubling, I guess, to me.
It is overly sexualized. That's true.
Yep.
But that's just me, and I don't try to. I mean, people can do whatever they want. It's America, or it's Japan, depending on where you are.
Well, I'm going to say he's probably studied some of the pinup masters throughout the years.
Oh yeah.
I know I can name a few, but I know my favorite pinup artist from a certain era. His name was Gil Elvgren, and what he did was, like, pinups back in the day, they always told a bit of a story. There was always something going on within the image. And pinups today, I find they're just basically a sexy girl leaning on a motorcycle. There's no story anymore.
Yep.
Does that make sense? And I find with what's going on within some of these pictures is, sure, it's very sexy, but there's still a story involved in most of these pictures.
What's kind of funny what you said about William is that back in the day, there's a story, but the current design is just a picture. There's no story to it. And I feel like that's true to all mediums, kind of like what's happening with comics, what's happening with television, what's kind of doing. There's no substance to the entertainment that they're dishing out. Kind of deal.
Well, I know some of the artwork in some of these books are absolutely breathtaking. And it's gotten to the point for me in some of them where I've never even read the story because I was so drawn to the artwork. Right. I had mentioned to a buddy of mine before of Mignola's Hellboy. And he said his dream is to meet Mignola, and just to tell him that he's never actually read a Hellboy comic book in his life, but he's collected them all and he's looked them all over a million times. But he couldn't tell you exactly what was going on within the issue because he was so blown away with the artwork.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, Campbell here reminds me a little bit of Hajime Soriyama. I don't know if you guys know him, but Hajime frustrates me to no end because if you look at his art, it looks like it's airbrushed, but it's not. It's painted. The guy is one of the greatest painters to possibly ever live, and I am including Rembrandt in that comment, by the way. He's just insanely skilled, insane level of ability, but yet all he does is things that they're pornographic. They're more than this. They're beyond this. And it's like, oh man, I mean, and it's all he does is just these, and they're not just pornographic. Sometimes they're like they're deviant pornography, and it's like, man, you're wasting your talent. That guy should be doing incredible works of art, but he just can't get it away from the super ultra hot sexy girls, and it reminds me of that a little bit to a more extreme level. Hajime Soriyama.
Well, I think it would be you would have to commission him to do a work and kind of tell them kind of like the parameters, like you have a free range of what you can draw or what I'm looking for, but you can't have these certain elements that you usually have it. And that's usually what kind of like Michelangelo did, what kind of the great artists did, that they had their own style, but when it was commission work, they follow what the commission did. And I think that's kind of what's happening is he's drawing to make a living and drawing sexy girls, every hot-blooded male will, and some females will buy those art.
Yeah, finding his niche, right? And but just to warn you, I did mention Soriyama, but tread carefully, please. Soriyama is extreme, but the art is undeniable.
And I did want to touch on, you guys were talking about the influence for Scott Campbell's eyes and everything as well. Whenever I was reading stuff, this was like maybe 10 years ago or whatever, but the guy who created Astro Boy, I don't know if that was like one of the first manga or anything like that, but I know he was directly inspired from early Disney animation. And that, a lot of it was springboarded from there. So
even with the design of Astro Boy himself, we've talked about this before in another stream, but the design of Astro Boy himself is very similar to Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, because Osamu Tezuka, and Chester, you can correct me if I butchered that name completely. He was inspired from the Disney flicks after World War II happened, and they brought in, those movies, and that's really a direct reference, for it, because he was it was the Mighty Atom that came for it. And if you look at the Mighty Atom's original run, you see heavily Disney influence. He looks like basically Mickey Mouse, more or less.
Yeah. Well, to answer that early question about the first animated stuff, actually, which you had back in the early 20th century, you had Oten Shimokawa and Junichi Koichi and Seitaro Kitayama and those various guys, but they were doing propaganda films for the Japanese government. It wasn't until later that you had Astro Boy and with Tetsuan Atomo, the character's name, and of course the illustrator there is Osamu Tezuka. So Atomo, even though he's not the first, the Japanese kind of embrace it as the first. You know what I mean?
All right. So is Manny still here?
Yes.
Manny.
I gotta unmute myself every time. I don't want to be noisy.
All right, so I'm looking at your screen. I'm going to white box you.
Oh, cool. Yeah, you guys brought up.
Here at the top, you've got your Skunk Girl, right?
Yes.
For those of you who don't know Manny, Manny's the creator of the Unbreathable Skunk Girl. Sexy lady, obviously.
And it's funny that you mentioned the Skunk Girl. That that middle picture, I kind of swiped some art from Mr. Elgrin. He did a pinup, kind of like in this pose with dogs. So when I saw that, I'm like, oh, that'll be great for skunks. So I kind of swiped it.
Yeah. No, Gil Elgren's a master, and for anybody
yeah.
who's getting into art, you need to study the masters. I mean, today's comic book artists are fine and dandy, but you want to hunt down who inspired them, right? And a lot of the times when they're doing these sexy pinups, you got to go back to the masters for these sexy pinups, right? And that's this is where we're starting to lose our storytelling ability.
Yeah, and it's funny that Chester mentioned Sorayama. I mean, just look at my artwork. This is artwork that I did. Obviously, it's Sorayama's technique. I mean, that's exactly how he does it, people. Of course, my stuff is super tame compared to Sorayama.
So you've got Vampirella down the bottom corner.
Yes.
That's fantastic. I mean, that's a really great pose.
I mean, that's totally Sorayama's technique. It's you do a real tight pencils, and then you just do washes, acrylic washes over the pencils. And you just keep on doing washes and washes and washes to give that really nice, good flesh tones to it. It's a great book if you guys can hunt it down. They're kind of expensive, but if you want to aspire to doing flesh tones, it's awesome. Learn from the masters.
Yep. All right, let's get back to our book here. So this one here, this is Snow White, obviously, but the angle of it's really cool because we get to see the feet of all the dwarfs surrounding her, right? Right here, we can see that she's taken a bite of the apple. So the storytelling aspect is still there, even though it is a beautiful, sexy image, right? This is, I believe it was a cover to a steampunk book. I'm not entirely sure what the book was about or if it was just a pinup that he did of steampunk, but I've seen a colored version of this and it's quite stunning too. Here we've got Peter Pan again.
Yep. Wendy.
I mean, what do you guys think of that?
Again, still a little bit
way overly sexualized, yeah, for sure.
I think it would.
But look, even like the baby, he's in a onesie, and he's past the toddler stage, obviously, right? But he's still, I don't know, like to me, he's got muscle tone or something in his arms. You know what I mean? Like it's super exaggerated.
Right. I think if he scaled back some, it would be tasteful. But right now, he, like Gary mentioned earlier, it's a little bit too much.
Well, can he do normal little kids? Has anybody ever seen him do something that wasn't overboard?
No. Well, maybe in Gen 13.
No, not even in Gen 13.
No, I seem to remember there was a kid in one of the issues that they were helping.
It wasn't drawn by him on that one.
Okay, so here we got some Marvel stuff. This is, he loved the X books, right? Don't forget he's a Jim Lee protege. So, Jim Lee got his big break with the X-Men. So, paying homage to his heritage here. Down this bottom corner, we got Deadpool. Take note, he's not humping a lemonade bottle.
No, he's not. He is certainly not. And he's not doing that to beautiful saxophone music either.
Now, the Spider-Man up here is really cool.
Serious.
Yeah. So, is there anything about the way he's hatching and inking that draws you?
That draws me? I think it's everything. Everything just draws me to him. I know, like, his pencils are usually super tight. This one here is not so much. I'll bring this one up. This one here is pretty loose for his pencils. Right? It's all smudgy and stuff. But then when we get to the Magneto one up here, like, there's no room for error. That's tight. Right.
Now, looking at that Jubilee, and that doesn't look very hyper-sexualized.
No, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
The guy's a stunning artist, though. That's
Oh,
just,
yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
now some people might be a little offended because it's over sexualized, but whatever, that's fine. You can not like it. But me personally, I have no problem with sexy girls. I
Mhm.
do like ladies. I actually enjoy them. I married one, and I've been married for
Yep.
23 years to one.
Yep.
Nice wife points right there,
Yes,
Chester.
see? Thank you. Thank you.
Now we're getting into some of my absolute favorite pieces of his was his Spider-Man covers. These were fantastic. And I think it might be this one here. I'm not entirely sure which one. But it made him, I almost want to say famous. But I mean, he was famous way before these images. But he had done something like this. It might be this one. We'll get to it if not. He had done it for himself. He was not commissioned by Marvel to do this, and Marvel loved it so much that they ended up buying it from him, or either commissioning him to do another one identical to it, or whatever. And it's became one of his most popular and most famous Spider-Man covers. I'm pretty sure it's this one. If not, there's one similar. There's Mary Jane. She's Spider-Man might be flying out the window, and she's sitting on the couch by herself having a coffee with his T-shirt on or something, maybe.
I love the little Stan Lee doll sitting there too.
Yeah. Where was that at? Yeah. Yeah. Little plush figure. Now here we're getting into some X-Force stuff because we get Domino.
But here's the thing that's interesting, because we're seeing the pencil. So we kind of see like the in-between transition between pencil and inking. So you have to imagine, if he's just doing the penciler, how much the details the inker would have to do. If he was the penciler for the interior art for these pages, and how much.
Yeah, he wouldn't like from here and here. This is him. Like he's inking over his pencils, but if he was doing the interiors, he wouldn't have time to do his own inking for that.
Yeah, no. And that's what I'm saying, and what I'm getting at is how amazing the inkers are, where they have to be either very exact or put in their own personality. So you
like R.T. Bear, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
Now this is a beautiful double-page spread. And looking at the Magneto pose here from a couple pages back, that's the same pose. So I'm going to say that was probably a close-up image of this page.
Yeah.
Look at Iron Man.
I wonder if this might not have been an image for when they did the recent relaunch of, what was it, Marvel Legacy or whatever? So it's got a mixture of the heroes there.
Look what I just found. Remember we were just talking about DC stuff.
Yeah.
This probably was on its own because this is the Dark Knight Returns.
Well, they could have done this whenever they did the recent Dark Knight stuff. That could have been one of the variants they did.
And he's done video game and TV stuff as well.
Right.
So here, these are fantastic. I love these. These are his creature designs. Right here we got Rocket. Everybody knows Rocket, right? This is Usagi Yojimbo.
Nice.
Usagi Yojimbo.
Look at this panda.
I had the privilege of meeting old Stan Sakai last year. That was really amazing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, actually, I had to wait for him. I was about to meet him, and then he took a break, and then he came back like an hour later, and then he put a Yosagi sketch inside my book. So that was a nice little surprise.
Okay, so this image here, I got some issues with this one because I'm Canadian and I live in the woods. All right. First off, I think we've got a colored version of this, do we not?
We do.
Can you bring it up?
I most certainly can.
Yeah, so this image here.
Go ahead, white box me.
Okay. She's, yeah, there she is. She's got spots, which means she's a baby,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
And then she's got antlers, which means she's a boy.
That's right.
I'm not sure if he even thought about any of that when he was doing this piece. I mean, it's a breathtaking, cool piece, but
Probably
I'm
not.
not sure if she's supposed to be Rudolph or not. But
Yeah.
you know, it's in a snowy,
Well,
snowy
I grew
world.
up hunting, so I noticed that same thing, dude.
Yeah, but I don't know if anybody's ever called him out on it or not.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what these are from. These kind of look like could be Adam and Eve. These are his Eve pieces. Does that ring true to you guys?
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Here we're getting into some cartoony stuff. Look at this. This screams Disney or something to me.
That's Big Hero 6, isn't it?
Mm,
I don't know. I don't know what this guy is.
Certainly Japanese.
yeah.
Maybe it's not Big Hero 6. No.
No, you're thinking of Betamax, and that's not it.
No, you're right.
Okay, so now we're getting back into some fairy tale stuff. This is little old lady who lived in a shoe. Does she look old to you?
Well, at least we
Nope.
know. At least we know why she had so many kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Now this piece here, I want to talk about this piece a little bit. This is Tinkerbell where she's stuck in the drawer,
Mhm.
right? This, I did a piece. I'm gonna let me see, screen share myself. As we were just talking about Gil Elvgren and the storytelling aspect, and since both of these guys have been such a huge inspiration for me, that I did my own tribute piece to both of them.
Nice.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
My white boxed. There we go. So these are my pieces. I'm plugging myself here all of a sudden, right? But on the right hand side, or be my right, maybe your left, I'm not sure. But we got Tinkerbell, and again, these are storytelling aspects. I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with Peter Pan, but when we first meet Tinkerbell, she gets trapped in a drawer in the Darling's house, and actually, she lands on a mirror. And she's dancing around on the mirror, and then she looks down and she sees the size of her hips, and she kind of measures them, and she kind of looks up at the camera like, oh my God, my hips are huge, right? And then when she gets trapped in the drawer and she tries to get out, she sticks her head through the keyhole, and her butt won't fit through the other side, so she's got her head on one side of the drawer and her butt on the other, right? So here, when I did this piece, going back to the Gil Elvgren storytelling aspects and my love for J. Scott Campbell and his fairy tale stuff, I did this version of Tinkerbell over here where she's stuck in the drawer, and instead of dancing on the mirror, she actually catches herself in the reflection of the scissors. So what do you guys think of this piece? You guys like that?
Yeah, it looks good, man. I like it. I think I
And-
prefer this. Looks like an adult woman Tinkerbell. I kind of think I like the more teenager-y looking Tinkerbell.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. And then we've got Snow White over here. She's taking a bite out of that poison apple, but instead of it being poison, there's a worm in it. And you can see that the little bluebirds are after the worm, right? Just kind of makes it fun. Again, there's just something that makes it a story that's going on within the image. I've got a book. It's called How to Steal Like an Artist. And in the book, they tell you to find. It teaches you how to steal like an artist. It's funny, really, but they tell you to find two artists that you absolutely love and make what they would make if they were one person. So here I combine the Gil Elvgren and the J. Scott Campbell to create something kind of cool with the fairy tales, right?
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. So on the far end, we've got Little Red Riding Hood, and she's eating a cookie, and it's dropping right down the front of her. And instead of having the big bad wolf, we've got the little wolf puppy, and he's hungry for the cookie. So, again, it's subtle, but it's there. It's that subtle little storytelling aspect, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll go back to this. Then we got Ariel and Archie, which is kind of cool, right? What else we got? I don't want to be too much longer here. I'm not sure what this is. This looks like it could be a cover.
Danger Girl, maybe?
I'm not sure. Definitely in Egypt. Must be Danger Girl because on the next page there's Danger Girl right there.
Mm-hmm.
Now he created Danger Girl. That's his project. That's his baby.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We got the X ladies, and then we've got Psylocke. This one's kind of fun because the way he did the ink splatter. He probably just put a lot of ink on the page and then rubbed it with a tissue or something to get those streaks. I see Jim Lee do that a lot in his feeds. You guys follow Jim Lee at all?
Absolutely.
He's quite famous on Twitch there right now. And then once he's done on this Twitch, he usually posts the Twitch videos to YouTube, and you can follow him on YouTube if you're not on Twitch. But he posts a lot of that ink wash or whatever that technique is.
Yeah, he uses like the tissue or the cotton swabs. He's also a big MMO player, which is very cool because that's my favorite kind of game.
So there's a cover to Thor, I believe. And there's our man, Logan.
Yep.
Man, he does a good job with that, doesn't he? Jeez.
Of course.
Stunning.
Yeah,
Love it.
it's beautiful.
There's a lot of cross-hatching going on in here, too. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. It's so far, this has been the most cross-hatching I've seen in the book so far. And it's just right here in this little outfit.
That picture right there makes me want to
go for that material look to it because that's a gi that he's wearing. And I know they're really rough around the collars. I'm sorry, Denali, go ahead.
I was gonna say that image actually makes me want to read a comic or issue with him in his Japanese days, traveling the countryside.
Yeah, actually, that's actually one of the first when he fought the Silver Samurai there. That was one of my first actual Wolverine books. Up until then, I've collected X-Men over the years, but Spider-Man was my go-to. And
right. I feel like they should remove that origin, that Wolverine origin that they did years back. I think Wolverine
Quesada stuff. The Quesada stuff.
Yeah, the whole origin where he's a boy and was coughing, and his power activated. I think you eliminate all that and just go back with the mystery of what he was, because you kind of took something out of him. It's kind of like when you've learned Boba Fett, what Boba Fett really looks like.
Well, the genie is kind of out of the bottle, though.
Well, they can always recon it and say that doesn't happen because it happened into a different universe or whatever.
True.
And we've ignored the chats the entire time we've been in here. Is there anything interesting going on in the chats?
Oh, no, it's just Manny's cousin making trouble as usual.
Chad R says he draws nice faces. And Argo says, that's not the Wendy I remember.
But you'll remember her now.
What is this character here? This is cool. Is that the lizard?
Yeah, it is.
Looks like the lizard.
Yeah. He did a whole run of Spider-Man covers for quite a while.
Jeez, look at
I've
that.
got a lot of them, actually. I should dig them out sometime. We'll go through them.
Dr. Doom.
Some of my favorite work is the Spider-Man. I don't know why I love Spider-Man so much, but I've always been drawn. He's had the best villains, the Vulture and Doc Ock. I mean, the only other villains that compare to Spider-Man villains are the Batman villains with the Penguin and the Joker and stuff like that. They're the best.
I think this lizard piece is the best in the book.
Yeah, and again, it's got that interesting ink splatter. I think Gary left us, did he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's got that ink splatter again. He probably did it with a brush, just scraping it on his thumb. It's just splattered all over it, and it just creates this nice, dusty, dirty feel. Like you can tell that there's a broken window here, and you can tell that there's action that just happened. Something just happened in that picture. I'm not sure if he busted through a wall or fell through the roof or what, but there's action involved. It's not just a stagnant picture of the lizard.
And I think that's what's missing a lot of interior art, that it feels like it's just stagnant.
Yeah, and it's a shame that he's, it's almost a shame that he's just a cover artist, because I'd love to see some of his interior stuff that he could do right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's insanely good artist. Absolutely.
So here's a couple more DC characters. Wonder Woman, Harley Quinn. You don't really see this too much, do you?
The
When it
TV
comes
stuff.
when it comes to like the big name artists, I kind of like it when they kind of go out of their comfort zone and do something a little different. Here we got the Archie girls, Betty and Veronica.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was one of the covers for, I don't know which issues of Archie, but it was a couple of years back.
Yeah, when they decided to renew it.
Yep.
Give it a
That
fresh
could have
boost.
even been the Betty and Veronica #1 right there.
Could have, yeah.
Well, it's completely updated, that's for sure. I mean, look, she's got a smartphone in her hand. She's taking a selfie here, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
This,
wow.
I don't
To the
know. A
future.
lot of people haven't seen this or what, but you don't see this too often. Is it because it could be licensed by somebody that he probably shouldn't have done this picture, or what?
I don't think it's just his perception or view of the thing. It's just an artist doing his art. I don't think it's any problem.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not
Because
saying
I know.
But I know,
I
like
know-
Back to the Future movies, they've got a cult following. You think this thing would be all over the internet?
Well, I know that IDW had Back to the Future books out for a little bit, so I don't know if they may have actually used this for that or not. So.
Oh, that's a good point. I'll look into that. Now here's a bit of a tribute to Back to the Future. This looks like it's probably J. Scott himself, since he's got the pencil and pen in his hand. And to me, this looks like that's the girl from Gen 13, which is the book that he started on. And this could be Danger Girl right here.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
And this is a crazy splash page. Look at this. I'm not sure if you can see this explosion stuff. I see this a lot in manga. Look at all these action lines. This is, to me, that's very manga-ish. And it's not finished. This is pencils. And I find if this was colored, they probably wouldn't have inked this at all. And they probably would have blurred this out and made it a different color so it stands out and fades into the background. So they probably left that pencils on purpose.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting into the more creator-owned stuff with the Danger Girl. This is kind of cool. She's got the screen popping up off her wrist. Bring that up a little bit so you can see it. You guys see that? It looks like it's coming out of her watch. And last but not least, we got Gwen Stacy. Spider Gwen, I believe. Look at the way she's pulling that hood down. That's got to be Spider Gwen.
Yep.
And that is the end of Lineology. What do you guys think? That's a pretty cool book.
Oh yeah.
Right? And like I said, this I'm not sure if you could buy that in stores or not. That was an exclusive right from his website. So when I seen that, I knew I kind of had to snatch that up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a beautiful book. I love the cover too.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you can see that or not, but it's actually like a matte book, and the stripes on the tiger is actually gloss. Like I can
Nice.
feel the stripes kind of popping off the page a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very cool. Now Chester's got some colored images that maybe we'll go through. I'll white box him, and kind of wanted to get off my screen anyways. I'm surprised my phone hasn't died.
Mine's working on it.
I have those up for you.
Okay. So yeah, okay, so there's the colored version of that Wicked Witch.
Yeah.
We've already
Beautiful
talked
piece.
about that I want to call it a fawn, but it's not a fawn.
It's actually called Fawn Girl. If you look down the bottom, it has it listed.
Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't understand deer. But that's all right.
I'm
Here's
gonna
a
say
couple
he did
others.
it on
Got a very
purpose.
famous picture here with him, Peter and Mary.
That might be the one that I was talking about that's kind of made him.
Tiger, jackpot tiger.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hear the jackpot tiger. Yeah, exactly. That's the little reference. Yeah, that's a cute little addition, huh, with the tiger down here.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you have the Alice in Wonderland and the Mad Hatter and the March Hare.
I like the colors on that. I like the way it's a lot of purple and green at the bottom. I think the two colors go well together.
Yeah, but in all honesty, if he was more subtle with the sexiness, it would have been better.
I think so too. Yeah.
Here's the
Peter
Tiger
Pan.
Lily
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and the Sirens.
So there's a big difference with the colors than it is to the black and whites. What do you guys prefer? Do you guys prefer the inks or do you guys prefer the color?
It depends on the color, because if it's colored like the left side, I prefer that one. But if it's the colors like the right side, I prefer the inks. So it really depends on the colorist.
Yeah. It's more flat and muddy on the Tiger Lily for sure.
It is. You know, the one on the right is perfectly colored. It's beautiful.
All right, what else we got?
Guess that's it.
I see Manny's got Tinkerbell in his picture down there. Let's white box him for a minute.
Oh
What's-
my goodness.
Yeah, what's going on here, Manny?
I was-
Explain yourself.
That was me at one of my the Comic-Con, the Aloha Comic-Con, and this is one of the cosplayers, and she was so cute. She looked just like Tinkerbell. I said, "Oh, I gotta take a picture with her."
And she's right up on her heels too, or right up on
Yeah.
her tiptoes.
It was so cool. I mean, she really looked like Tinkerbell. It was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool. All right, Chester, do you have one last piece for us?
I do.
All right, let's get into that.
All right. Go ahead and white box me here, and of course, we have this great piece of art.
Oh yeah.
Well, this here is Campbell's tribute to Stan the Man Lee.
Yep.
We all know that Stan had passed away today, at the age of 95.
Yep.
Big bucket of wind.
What a career,
it's
man.
beautiful.
He's famous worldwide. But you know,
Yeah,
there's that old saying. There's that old saying. You know, the artists we were busy creating Marvel, and Stan was busy creating Stan. Did you guys ever hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah. But like I said, like, man, I can't even picture not seeing him in a cameo in one of the movies.
Yeah.
I used to love waiting to see what he's going to be or who he's going to be in these films.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they did shoot a lot of extra ones, so we're going to see
Yep.
more.
Yep.
Now, what would you think about if they CG'd him in future films that he didn't have a cameo in, just to put him in there?
That would be up to his estate to approve or not approve.
Yeah, but do you find that tasteless?
Depends on how they did it.
I know there was a large controversy over the Rogue One, Star Wars Rogue One, with not the Princess Leia character, but the
Peter Cushing with Grand Moff Tarkin.
Mm-hmm.
Tarkin, yeah. I loved it, man. I thought it was cool. It was nice to see Peter Cushing again. Such a great artist himself.
Well, what if they don't even really have to CG him in future films? I mean, they can always put his image on a T-shirt or a poster or something in the film, right? Just as a little Easter egg or a tribute.
Yeah, I remember, what was it in Deadpool 2? It was just graffiti on the side of a building with his image on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It was like a poster or something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I seen a little interview with him where he said that his favorite cameo was in the Deadpool movie when he was in the strip club.
Oh, yeah.
He said that was his favorite cameo.
Yeah.
But you know what? At 95, he's got a right to be an old pervert.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how bad he was at that, but the Ant-Man was certainly one of my favorite Stan Lee cameos. But my favorite cameo is in the Amazing Spider-Man, the one where he was fighting the lizard, and he's in the library.
Oh, yeah. He's a janitor in that one, right?
He had the headphones on. He didn't hear a thing.
Yep.
I'll be honest with you. I think my favorite one is in the Fantastic Four film where they were getting married, and he swore up and down that he was on the list.
Oh, yeah.
I'm on the list.
Yeah.
I'm Stan Lee. Yeah, okay, pal. Whatever.
Now, have you guys played the new Spider-Man game at all?
No, I haven't.
He does have a cameo in there as well. Like, they CG'd him in that one.
Awesome.
He's sitting across from Peter and Mary in the diner, and like they're talking about getting back together. He's like, "I've always liked those two."
Cool.
I've seen some cartoon cameos. The first time I ever heard his voice, I had some old VHS tapes. I'm showing my age here. I had some old VHS tapes of some Spider-Man cartoon movies back in the day.
Yep.
And one of them was about Spider-Woman, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the narrator at the first.
Yep.
That's the first time I ever heard his voice. And up until then, I've never really seen what he looked like before.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I grew up hearing him all the time. I've heard his voice many times as a kid.
Mm-hmm. As on Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, right? Wasn't he like a normal one on there?
He was, but he also did commercials and stuff in the area because I lived in around New York, so
okay.
I saw him quite a bit.
Yeah. Nice.
Now I found this earlier tonight. My little guy was talking about Stan Lee. He's 7. And he didn't know who Stan Lee was because he knew that I was kind of down the dumps. So I was going through some old comic books, and I stumbled upon this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because he recognized Stan.
Of course.
And he had said something to the effect of, I know him. He was on Big Bang Theory.
Yep.
Oh yeah, he's definitely on there. They had several people. Adam West was on there too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel bad for the next generation coming up that has never ever had bought a comic book off the shelf that says Stan Lee presents the day that it was released. I remember those days.
Yep.
Look how short they made Stan. He's standing on a soapbox, and he's still really small.
Well, he's standing beside Jim Shooter. I think the Jim Shooter is a huge 6 foot plus fella, is he not?
Don't know.
I don't know.
Well, right here on the, can you see that right there? Big Jim Shooter.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Can you see that, or should I raise it up a little bit?
Oh, I can see it. Big Jim Shooter.
Big Jim Shooter. Yeah. Well, I'll be totally honest with you. I was devastated when I heard the news. I was crushed. I didn't know it was real at first.
Yeah.
No,
me too.
actually, I'll be honest with you. I didn't know what had even happened. I was just surfing social media, and I was surfing, and there's a picture of Stan. I didn't stop to read the title.
Yep.
And then the next picture, as I was flipping with my thumb through the phone, there was another picture of Stan.
Yep.
And then I got about 5 or 6 more pictures of Stan right in a row, and I thought, uh-oh, I better read the caption on these things, right? And it happened to be from one of the websites, from Comic Book News website. And I read the article, just, well, this can't be real. And then the TMZ post, and then the news post, CNN was covering it. And here I'm in Canada, so we have the CBC. And somebody had posted the link to the CBC article, and
Well, I've been kind of expecting it for years.
Oh, absolutely. 95. I mean, come on. Like, I don't know if I'll ever see 95. I'll be honest with you.
No.
My grandma made it that same age length, so you never know, man.
Oh yeah, no, I think we've all have family members that have, you can't complain. Like, that's a good life.
Yeah.
That life has been denied to a lot of people, so you should feel thankful to get up there in age, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, both of mine, they passed at the age of 55, 10 years apart. So,
oh wow.
And they both died of cancer, different types of cancer, but still cancer. So I always think about that,
Well, something's going to get you in the end. I don't even know what he passed away from, to be honest with you. I haven't even seen the report.
Yeah, I haven't seen an official. Just that they called an ambulance, and then he died in the ambulance, was what I heard, and they haven't done an autopsy or anything, to my knowledge.
Well, I know the last couple of years his health has been failing.
Yeah.
Jake, you posted a picture earlier of you with Stan. You met him.
Yes, I did. I had the privilege of meeting him at Emerald City Comic Con. I want to say it was 2013. And I purchased my ticket online, and I waited like 4 hours, even with my prepaid ticket, to meet him. And their thing was, they pretty much oversold tickets for it. So they're like briefed, the huge crowd of people, and they're like, everyone, no conversations, put your things down on the table in front of Stan, smile for 30 seconds, no conversation, grab your stuff and get your picture. But for me, I put my stuff down, and I just walked up to and I hugged him, and then I got a "attaboy" out of him, and then they took the picture, and then I grabbed my stuff, and then they had the picture printed out and waiting for me within seconds after that. So, but I mean, I never thought I'd even get that chance. So I was supremely grateful to be able to do that.
Yeah, he had his last Canadian appearance was I think it was this year. I think it was in the spring, and he was at our Fan Expo in Toronto. And I'm kind of kicking myself in the ass for not attending. I would have loved to have just shaken his hand. Picture is fine and dandy, but just to meet the man, it would have been an honor. And I'm kind of kicking myself that I didn't, jump at the chance to make the trip over to Toronto. But he even when they announced that he was coming to Canada, they had announced that it was his final appearance in Canada.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Yeah, but don't beat yourself up. No one wants to go to Toronto.
No, they don't. If anything, they bypass Toronto and go further.
Mhm.
So
Well, I never got to meet him. So
yeah, that was my next question. Have any of you ever got the chance?
Unfortunately, no, never got the chance. But it was good being on this stream. Well, so thank you for having me, but I gotta bow out for today.
Yeah, you know what? I think we all have to bow out there. Well,
Yeah.
thank you guys all for attending. You guys want to give you guys a little channels a shout out there? I'm gonna post some links in the description.
Sure.
But yeah, definitely plug yourselves. Go ahead, Chester.
yeah, no, thanks for joining us all today. My name is Chester Busby. I'm on the channel of the same name, and of course, it's the home of Fan Speak, and you're all welcome to go over there and enjoy what we do. And of course, Denelli's over there with me as well. So please come check us out.
Manny still here?
Yes, I'm still here. I have to mute myself and unmute myself all the time. But I am here, and I'm Manny from Good Dog Press, and you find me there every night. I'm there with Tank Ferret, and Chester comes along. We have a good time. We do some drawings. We do some tutorials. And in about 10 to 15 minutes, I'll start up a chat over there. And then I'll tell you guys a story about me meeting Stan Lee. I've seen him 3 times in person.
Nice.
Sweet.
You got any pictures of that?
No, I don't have any pictures, but I do have the autograph.
Well, I guess we'll just take your word for it, Manny.
I have witnesses.
All right.
Hope Rogue was there with me.
Okay. All right. So, Jake, give your channel a bit of a plug and definitely your book.
Sure, absolutely. So my YouTube channel, the one that I promote, is the Comic Book ASM Artist. I do relaxation videos, normally in whispered or soft-speaking voices, as well as Thursday live streams, normal talk like this. I show off comic book hauls every 2 weeks, do readings of stuff. I will be posting a video shortly after here of reading Stan's first published work, which I believe was Captain America #2. They recently reprinted it as a short story in a Marvel special that Bruce Timm drew, so I'll be reading that. And then I'm going to have old Constantinos on my live stream on Thursday to promote Stilk and Metal Tim. And you can check out The Bull on Indiegogo. It's just $5.
Excellent. Well, all right. Let's call it a night. Let's say goodbye to Stan and all the folks. And we will catch you next time.
All right.
Later,
Thanks
everybody.
for having us. Bye.
Aloha. Aloha.
You're still live, Will.
Are we still live?
Yes, you are.
Yes,
How
you are.
do you? I don't know why it. My computer froze up. I couldn't click my mouse or nothing. But I'm only at like 18% back.